Beneath the cold lights of Liverpool's echoing conference hall, a shadow lingered. The kind of shadow that doesn't just hover above politics, but seeps into the very soul of a nation. People shifted uneasily in their seats, sensing that something was about to be said that could not be unsaid. This was not just another speech. Not another soundbite. Not another conference moment to be forgotten the next day. No, what was about to unfold here had the weight of history. A collision of morals, fear, and political destiny. And in that silence, Sir Keir Starmer stepped forward. His words would slice the air like glass, and once spoken, they would change the entire mood of British politics. Before we go deeper, pause for a second. If you want to understand the real story behind Britain's political battles, hit like, subscribe to Echo Britain, and drop a comment below. Tell us, do you believe Starmer's words will change the course of Britain, or was this just another politician playing with fire? The most powerful comments will be featured in the next video. Starmer's voice did not tremble. It was deliberate, sharp, and unwavering. I believe it is a racist policy. I believe it is immoral. And I think we should call it what it is. Those were the words. Unvarnished. Direct. He was talking about the Reform UK proposal to strip permanent residency from migrants who had built their lives in Britain. Families who had lived here for decades. Workers who had contributed to the economy. People who had called this land their home. And in one sentence, he branded the policy and the ideology behind it, not just wrong, but rotten at its core. The room stiffened. Reporters' pens froze mid-scratch. Cameras zoomed in. Every political observer knew this was the line that would dominate headlines, stir outrage, and ignite applause all at once. It wasn't just about policy. It was about language. By calling the policy racist, Starmer had crossed into dangerous territory. He wasn't merely disagreeing, he was attacking the moral foundation of Nigel Farage's Reform UK. And this is where the storm began. Because Britain, for all its complexities, is a nation where words carry deep resonance. To call something racist is to brand it with a stigma that does not wash away easily. Starmer knew it. His allies knew it. And Reform UK certainly knew it. But Starmer wasn't reckless. He anticipated the backlash, the accusations that he had branded millions of voters as racists. So he added, carefully but firmly, "This is not about the voters. I would never call them racist. They are angry. They are frustrated. Many of them once voted Labour. Their feelings are real. They want change." It was a tightrope walk. On one side, he condemned the policy as racist. On the other, he reached out to those tempted by Reform's rhetoric, telling them, "You are not the problem. The problem is the poison you're being sold." Why did Starmer choose this moment? Because the air in Britain has grown heavy. Discontent lingers everywhere, wages stagnant, bills rising, trust in politics eroding. Reform UK had seized on that anger, channeling it into a crusade against immigration and residency rights. And Labour? Labour had to decide, would it tiptoe around this narrative, or confront it head-on? Starmer made his choice. He drew the battle line not in whispers, but in fire. The reaction inside Labour was instant and split. Some MPs and activists saw courage. At last, their leader had called out what many whispered privately. They cheered him for showing moral clarity. But others? They worried. Worried that such stark language would alienate the very voters Labour needed to win back, people in former Labour strongholds, disillusioned, drifting toward Farage. Was Starmer pushing them away? The tension inside the party mirrored the tension across the nation. Then came Ed Miliband. The former Labour leader, now one of Starmer's shadow ministers, stepped into the conversation. Yes, Starmer is right, Miliband admitted. The policy is indeed racist. But when pressed on whether he believed Farage himself was racist, Miliband hesitated. He didn't go that far. It was a telling moment, a reminder of how sensitive, how explosive this ground was. Even allies agreed on the immorality of the policy, but were wary of labelling the man behind it. Beyond the Labour Hall, voices from Wales and Scotland added their warnings. Welsh leaders feared that such policies risked dividing communities that had long been bound by solidarity. Scottish figures warned that targeting permanent residents could tear at the very idea of what Britain was meant to be, a shared home for those who had built lives here. The warnings weren't just political. They were cultural, emotional, existential. This wasn't about borders on a map, it was about the boundaries of identity itself. While delegates in Liverpool debated, another battlefield was raging: social media. Clips of Starmer's words went viral within minutes. Supporters flooded platforms, hailing him for courage. Detractors accused him of playing the race card to smear opponents. X, formerly Twitter, became a frenzy of hashtags. Some celebrated Labour's stance. Others claimed the party had just insulted millions of ordinary Britons. The divide widened. Starmer's words raised a darker, deeper question. In modern Britain, what does it mean when a major policy is labelled racist? It's more than a debate about legality. It's a debate about morality, about who belongs, about who defines the nation's values. By calling the policy racist, Starmer wasn't just criticising Reform UK. He was telling the public, this is about who we are as a people. Reform UK wasted no time in firing back. They accused Starmer of silencing debate, of dismissing genuine concerns about immigration. They framed themselves as the voice of ordinary Britons, smeared unfairly by an elite that refuses to listen. To their supporters, Starmer's words weren't a condemnation. They were a confirmation, proof that Labour looked down on them. And so, the battle deepened. This is the essence of modern politics: words can shape reality. When Starmer branded the policy racist, he forced every voter, every journalist, every political rival to take a side. To agree, or to reject. Neutrality became impossible. It was a masterstroke of clarity or a reckless gamble. Perhaps both. The Labour conference became a mirror reflecting Britain's deepest anxieties. On one side, fear of change, fear of economic insecurity, fear of outsiders. On the other, a belief in compassion, in fairness, in the dignity of those who have chosen Britain as their home. The mirror showed not one nation, but two, colliding within the same borders. And beyond Britain's shores, the world was watching. Foreign observers whispered that Britain was flirting with dangerous politics. International allies feared that racist policies could tarnish Britain's image, isolating it further at a time of global instability. Once again, the domestic battle carried consequences far beyond Westminster. Where does this leave us? For Starmer, the challenge is enormous. He must transform his moral stance into a practical plan, one that addresses voters' fears about immigration without tearing communities apart. For Reform UK, the opportunity is equally clear. They can exploit the backlash, doubling down on their narrative of a political elite that insults ordinary people. And for Britain? The choice is stark. Between compassion and division. Between unity and fracture. Between a politics of hope and a politics of fear. So here we stand, at the end of a day that began like any other, but ended with words that may define an era. Keir Starmer has chosen to confront the fire. But will his words heal, or will they inflame? Will Britain listen to the voice that calls for compassion? Or will fear, once again, prove louder than conscience? The story is not finished. In fact, it's only just beginning. Tell us in the comments, was Starmer right to call Reform UK's policy racist? Or has he just walked into a trap that could cost Labour dearly? And don't forget, hit subscribe to Echo Britain, tap the bell, and join us as we uncover the truth shaping Britain's future. Because in this storm, every voice matters, including yours.